Alright, so exciting times here. The new iMac, and I'm using the internal mic of the MacBook Pro 16. I'm learning just like you. I have no idea what's going into it. I do know it's 10th generation CPUs. Should be some upgrades to the graphics as well. It's the same design, so it is just a spec bump. Let's get into it. Let's have a look. Okay, new 27-inch. That's the only one that's new. 500 nit panel, the same panel. It's not HDR or anything like that, but for what it's worth, it is probably one of the best sort of panels you're going to get. It's beautiful, 500 nits, 5K. It is really good. Ooh, what's this? First seen on the X Pro XDR, minimum glare, maximum detail. Oh, so you can get the nano texture glass. So I'm saying that may be an option here. So I don't recommend you get that because that is really delicate and you have to wipe it with a cloth. People have complained about that, the off access. Just stick to the glossy unless you really need it. Yeah, mate, is this the second generation of it? Is it the same one? The same as, well, have they only got one option? I hope not. I hope they've still got the glossy. All right, so what we can see here is 6 cores with the 21-inch and the 27 model 10 cores. Okay, so this is going to be the equivalent of the 10900K, but the Apple equivalent, which will be some sort of SKU which Apple have. So 10 core up to 5 gigahertz. Be interesting to see if it has Intel HD. Let's have a look how much faster it is. So if we have a look here at Final Cut, I'd like to know that. 40% faster ProRes. Well, that's the extra 2 cores, I guess. Logic, 65% faster. Autodesk, 35. WebKit, 25. MetaLab, 20%. So yeah, it's going to be a nice bump having an extra 2 cores up to 128 gigs. You will be able to upgrade it. Double the capacity, fly throughout work. Okay, so 128 gig. We know that this chipset supports 128 gigs, so that's fine. That's all good. And now I want to see the graphics. What are we getting for graphics? Okay, so we have, a 16 gigs. Whoa. The 27-inch model, you can get an AMD Radeon 5000 series graphics, 16 gigabytes of GDR6. Now, so no HBM, but 16 gigs. That's a lot. That's a lot of memory. Yeah, so they're going out with a bang with this model. It's the last Intel model. It's the last AMD model. So they're going out with a bang, 16 gigabytes. We'll see what sort of spec you can get here. Okay, so 40 compute units. So that's a 5700. So it's a 16 gigabyte 5700, which is excellent. So you cannot get a PC with a 5700 with 16 gigs. Although, why you would need 16 gigs, it's got to be a really, for video editing, you're not going to need 16 gigs, certainly for gaming. And the thing about this is, why would you buy one of these when you think, well, they're going to bring out Apple Silicon ones? Well, that probably won't be until next year. But this can also be used as a PC as well. So let's just have a look how much faster it is. 55% faster here. Unity Engine, Total War, so game, let's see, 45% faster with the 5700 XT 16 gig. I wonder if they have an 8 gig version of that. So it's much faster than the Vega 48, 8 gigabyte, which was the HBM memory in the last one. I guess I'm a little bit disappointed there's nothing like, HBM when, the previous models had HBM. So what do we got here? 35% faster, and Final Cut, 35% faster timeline render performance. So yes, that's a big 30%. That's a nice speed upgrade. Now they've got rid of the fusion drives. Wow. Man, it took them forever to get rid of that. But yeah, because a lot of people, the mum and pops, they buy these sort of things, right? You got to remember that, and they don't care about having SSDs. I mean, I don't know why they didn't have SSDs before. It was just cost cutting, but now it's all flash storage up to 8 terabytes. Yeah, that's good. I'm liking that. Now we have a T2 chip, so yep, that's good. And a better camera, it looks like. Webcam T2, so that's awesome. No, it's not. But it's got, it's good for, rendering and stuff like that. H.264, H.265, mainly H.265. And you can get 1 gig port. You can get a 10 gig. Awesome. You can get 10 gig networking with the 27 inch. So this is a serious workstation, right? 16 gigs video memory. So that's what you want in a workstation. You want 10 gig networking, Thunderbolts. So that's awesome. 16 gigabytes video memory. Yeah, you can drive 6K bloody XDR displays if you want. And you also get a nice 10 core fast CPU. So, yeah, it's good. Let's get into the press release. The ultimate desktop now featuring much faster performance SSDs across the range, stunning 5K display, higher quality camera, speakers and mics. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. 10 cores, gone through that. Next gen AMD graphics, that's fine. It's the same sort of 5700, but with 16 gigs, T2, gone through that. 5K, now this is the thing, right? So what they're saying is to get True Tone with this. Okay, so it offers the nano texture glass option. Don't get it. Like, seriously, if you touch that screen, it's over. You have to only wipe it with a certain cloth, and they're just very delicate. Make sure you do get the glossy unless you really need the matte coating. It's an option. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Studio quality mics, better webcam, updated 21-inch, whatever. Update to the 21-inch iMac and iMac Pro. Apple also announced the blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Big Sur coming this fall. That's basically it. All right, so I'll wrap it up there. It looks like a good upgrade. Why would you buy this? Well, I probably will buy it because it's a last Intel Mac, and I'll be able to use it as a PC. I'll be able to game on it. It's a nice system, man. It's a beefy system. It's all in one. It's clean. I know it's got the big bezels, but the rest of it looks okay. Yeah, can't wait to have a look at it. Subscribe because I'm going to slam this thing. So the honest truth is, all of these configurations will be good because you have an SSD, right? You can always add storage. You can add RAM, apparently. I think you can still add RAM. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure you can. And you can always add graphics too via Thunderbolt 3. So you can sort of upgrade. You might have to upgrade outside the unit itself, but you can always do that. And the good thing here is you're not going to get any Fusion crappy drives, all right? So they're gone, Fusion drives, bye-bye. So you've got, 3 graphics options, 5300, a 5500, and a 5500 XT. Let's just go into the big boy here, and we'll have a look at the configurations. Now, you can get 10 cores, okay? So this is a beast of a CPU, this 10 core, and 5 gigahertz. Hopefully it's got Intel HD on it as well. Get the 2 options of the standard glass or the nano texture. Do not get the nano texture. Just save your money there. With the 10 core and the 8 core, of course, the 10 core's better, but 6 or 8, it's still going to be fine. A lot of stuff's hardware encoded these days, so let's just do that. $400 extra. That's a really massive rip-off going from 8 cores to 10. $400, that's a lot. And the RAM, it's always a rip off the RAM. Interested, it is 2666. Well, I'll be very interested to see if my 3200 DDR RAM will fit in here, which I will test out for you. So make sure you sub up. With the graphics, this one you got to be careful here because you've got 3 versions, okay? So you've got the 5300, 5500 XT, 5700 and 5700 XT. Now, they don't tell you how many compute units each one has. But when it comes to the 5700 and the 5700 XT, there's a big difference in PC land. With the Mac, I don't know, but the 5700 has 36 compute units on the PCs, whereas the 5700 XT has 40 compute units. So there's a big difference there. There's a big difference in RAM as well. 8 to 16 gigs is literally double, but don't think a 5700 is probably the same. Now, Apple might have a 5700 with 40 compute units. It might be custom, but just make sure you find out first before you, I'll just go to 5700. The only difference is 16 gigs versus 8. No, it's probably extra compute units, 40 versus 36, until someone confirms it, gets it in and tests it, because Apple don't tell you. Well, when it comes to storage, of course, it's a rip-off all this storage. I will suggest you get 10 gigabit Ethernet just for future proofing. Now, should you buy this thing? Should you buy Intel Mac? Well, I guess it's up to you, but I mean, it's a beast of a computer, and yeah, it does look a bit dated with those bezels and that, but the thing is, you can use this as a PC as well. You can game on it, you can boot into Windows, and that's maybe why you might want to get, a bigger SSD or something like that if you're going to boot it. And you can do external boot, of course, into Windows as well. But yeah, I guess it's up to you. But any of these configurations will be good. If I was going to give you one tip, and it depends on what you do, I would upgrade the graphics over the CPU, unless you know you have some sort of CPU heavy task, because a lot of stuff is hardware encoded, moved to the GPU now. So just bear that in mind. I'm going to get the base. I'm going to get the top model. We'll see how they go. Make sure you sub up. Catch you in the next one. Tally ho.